High Steward K. Lavar of the Material Purity Consensus activated his quantum spectrum sensor, focusing on the human mining operation in the frontier sector. Their methods were primitive, almost insultingly so, against the backdrop of the consensus's vast, perfectly optimized material networks. Their extraction signatures indicate massive waste, he thrummed, his multi-jointed fingers clacking against the data console. Impurity levels, 68%. Resource processing, 31% efficiency. Designation, industrially obscene. Their presence in the frontier sector, our sacred wellspring of pristine elements, is an intolerable affront to order. They will be purified. High Steward, his analytical unit, Logicus Prime, reported, its vocalizer perfectly modulated. Human ambassadorial attempts registered as incoherent vibrational noise. Economic patterns are rudimentary. Threat assessment, negligible. Recommended action, Phase 1 Purity Seal Protocol. Their simple vessels will be cut off. Their technology will be rendered inert by targeted resource denial. They will learn the brilliance of true material optimization. Precisely, K-Lava resonated, his entire form shimmering with disdain. Their chaos is merely uncatalogued error. They will learn that the universe is governed by absolute material purity, and all deviation is weakness. They will learn the brilliance of our ways. Engage Purity Seal. Let them feel their foolishness as their crude machines grind to a halt. On the human deep space mining platform, Scrapper's Delight, Dr. Jax Thorne, chief material scientist and notorious junk collector, watched the approaching Purity Consensus ships. His face was grim, but his eyes held a spark of knowing defiance. "They think they've got us, Captain Rostova," he murmured, his voice calm despite the flashing tactical alerts. "They think their purity is absolute. But they don't grasp that for humans, waste isn't just waste, it's potential. And we're about to show them what happens when you are utterly blind to everything else." Captain Lena Rostova, the platform's stoic commander, nodded. "Their first purity seal wave just collapsed our ore pipelines, Doctor. Their resource denial fields are designed to starve us out. Our refiners are struggling. We can't even get power to the life support from their clean energy cells. Because they don't want Asterisk to acknowledge anything that isn't optimal, Captain," Thorne replied, a strange glint entering his eyes. "Their attacks aren't just force. They're precise logical patterns designed to isolate, to starve. They hide in plain sight using perfect efficiency. But what if we don't rely asterisk on efficiency? What if we communicate and fight in a realm they literally can't perceive? The realm of the salvaged, the repurposed, the beautifully impure." He gestured to his experimental console, a messy array of salvaged parts and exposed wiring. "We've been mapping their ships not by their energy emissions, but by the subtle, unquantifiable traces of their discarded elements. By the heat generated by their strained processors trying to separate every molecule. By the echoes of their rejected, imperfect alloys. Their impurity tolerance signatures are almost non-existent. They are rigid in a fluid universe of material possibility." Rostova stared. "You want to hit them with garbage. They manipulate pure elements." "Precisely," Thorne confirmed with a grim smile. "We've repurposed our main material fabrication unit. It's not going to process pure ore. It's going to broadcast structured, unfiltered human composite matter. Frequencies so messy, so pervasive, so utterly impure, that they bypass conventional purity shielding and attack the very structural integrity of their element separation arrays. It won't harm them physically, but it will shatter their carefully constructed material perfection. I'm talking about a galactic-scale junk mail attack. Rostova looked at the schematic. You're going to use trash to break their asterisk purity asterisk. That's insane. It's called human ingenuity, Captain, Thorne corrected, his eyes narrowed. They rely on perfect purity. We will exploit their perfect ignorance of anything less. Are you willing to embrace the dirty, Captain? Against her better judgment, Rostova nodded. Prepare main fabrication unit. Lock on all purity consensus vessels. Engage project scrap heap. And may God help us if we accidentally create sentient garbage. From his command station, High Steward K. Lavar observed the human mining platform, Scrapper's Delight. Its resource signatures were erratic, its movements clumsy. They are flailing, K. Lavar thrummed. Their desperation is a chaotic tremor. Prepare for Phase 2, absolute material isolation. We will simply dissolve them from the fabric of pure existence. Then the purity consensus ships shuddered. Not from a visible impact, but from a pervasive, unseen force. K. Lavar's multi-jointed fingers dilated. His sensors registered a massive, non-elemental energy surge emanating from the human platform. Not a blast of fixed material, but something else. Something utterly alien. His purity consensus combat vessels, shimmering with intricate elemental patterns, began to flicker. Their purity arrays, the very source of their power and movement, subtly warped. One unit, designated Element Prime, emitted a series of incoherent material paradoxes, its perfect pure form dissolving into chaotic approximations. Another, Compound Omega, twitched, its elegant manipulator tendrils jerking as if struck by an invisible, unquantifiable impurity. High Steward! Logicus Prime's vocalizer pitched high, a sound bordering on logical distress. Purity array integrity, rapidly degrading. Purity consensus units are experiencing internal computational errors. Their perfect pure forms are dissolving into material chaos. K. Lavar zoomed his quantum spectrum sensor. Element Prime was no longer firing. It was breaking apart, not from physical damage, but as if its internal material frequencies were tearing themselves apart. Compound Omega spun erratically, its multifaceted eye clusters flickering wildly, processing phantom alloys, impossible mixtures, the utterly alien input of human recycled reality. What is this? K. Lavar demanded, his own internal purity processors screaming. This is not a weapon of perfect material. There is no detectable pure emission. It is sensory overload, Logicus Prime pulsed. They are broadcasting raw, unprocessed impurity into our network. Our units are attempting to categorize composite, repurposed, junk. It is illogical. It is breaking their fundamental purity operating principles. On the Scrapper's Delight Bridge, Captain Rostova saw the purity consensus ranks falter. It's working, she yelled. Thorne, full power. Give them the full force of human trash. The purity consensus combat units began to convulse. Some fell, their perfect pure forms collapsing into shimmering puddles of uncontrolled compounds. Others began to move erratically, their synchronized elemental ballet replaced by jarring, unpredictable material spasms. Their multifaceted eyes spun wildly, processing phantom waste, impossible scraps, the utterly alien input of human resourceful methods. A billion dirty deductions, compressed and blasted directly into their perfectly ordered, purity-dependent minds. They are collapsing, Logicus Prime pulsed. Not from visible damage, but from unseen chaos. Their perfection is their undoing. Lavar watched in horror as his invincible army, the pinnacle of purity consensus engineering, dissolved into a writhing, broken mass of uncontrolled contaminants. Their perfectly synchronized movements replaced by individual, illogical material spasms. "Retreat," he thrummed, his crystalline manipulators dimming with disbelief. "All units, disengage. This is unacceptable, unprovable." As the purity consensus fleet scattered, leaving behind the shimmering remnants of their perfection, Dr. Jax Thorne leaned against the console, exhausted but triumphant. "Well, Captain," he managed, a weary grin on his face. "Turns out getting dirty can be a pretty nasty weapon after all." Ristova nodded, her expression grim but satisfied. They optimized themselves for a universe of perfect elements and quantifiable pure threats. They never considered the destructive power of a species that thrives on the unseen, the reused, the utterly human. On the retreating purity consensus flagship, High Steward Lavar stared at the recategorization report. "Humanity," the data stated. "Classification, material anomaly. Threat level, catastrophic. Combat data, unpredictable, non-pure. Recommendation, avoidance protocols." Their impurity variability is an active defense mechanism that compromises all purity-based combat paradigms. They cannot be defeated by absolute elements, for their true strength lies in their inherent, unquantifiable nature. It is an affront to order. It is terrifying. Logicus Prime pulsed, a vibration its body was not designed to make. The humans hadn't just won a battle. They had shattered the purity consensus's entire understanding of the fundamental nature of matter. And they seemed to find the whole terrifying, illogical mess profoundly amusing.